It feels kind of awkward coming back to YouTube like this, but I honestly had a hard time coming up with much of anything I was satisfied with making. The process got tedious, and while I enjoyed what I made every time, the process is what killed my motivation every time. And you guys don't realize it, but I spend upwards of like 15 hours of effort on a single video. And that was, that was just getting grating. And I'm somebody with crippling ADHD, which means I get bored easily doing the same thing. But I'm thinking all I needed was a break from it, and now that I've quit my job, I have a ton of time to put some craftsmanship into my work and remind myself why I love YouTube as a creative outlet. So that's what I've decided to do here. Hope you enjoy this video, and I hope you forgive me for not entertaining you all in a long time. All of you subscribers are Sigma Male Ultra Chads, and you deserve to rule the world. Maybe. Or at least be taken seriously as the awesome person that you are. Yeah, that's basically my way of guilt-tripping you into subscribing, so you can be an Ultra Sigma Male Chad too. Anyway, here's my nonsense rambling that you love so much. Modern Warfare 3 released at the time of writing, and if it was a road, it would be a road with a massive pothole every 500 feet, cheap lead-based paint marking the lines, and huge cracks in the asphalt. Put simply, Modern Warfare 3 is basically every road in Mexico. Admitting you paid $70 for this steaming half-baked shit pile is about as embarrassing as admitting you jerk off to Barney the dinosaur. Yeah, you'll forever be known as that one weirdo who jerks off to a D-grade kids TV show character, but hey, at least I'll never have to admit I paid a criminally large amount of money for a game with more gun camos than game modes. Allow me to give you a rundown of what you get for 70 hard-earned buckaroos. Warzone with bots, and a story I can only assume was written on toilet paper.
Oh shit, soap! Wait, what were Ghost and Gaz doing?
Multiplayer maps that are all remakes of maps from the objectively superior game that was made, oh, a decade and a half ago. And Warzone again, but zombies. Yep, $70 please. Yeah, hell the fuck no, bitch. You know what $70 can also buy you? Dinner for 4 at Denny's, not including your 35% option. Sorry, I mean mandatory tip, my bad. Instead of that nonsense, I took $40 that I got refunded from Payday 3, another complete shitpile disappointment, and I bought the original Black Ops and played the real Zombies mode with a friend of mine. See this, kids? Hey, Gen Z, you see this? This was back in the time where games actually had to be finished before you released them. Yeah, back when games had to be bought in an actual retail store. Digital downloads barely existed at this time. I say all of this because I think it makes my point very well. As video games have grown exponentially in profitability, they've gotten worse, not better. Modern Warfare 3 is just a perfect example of that. As you've already guessed, I refuse to spend money for this crock of hippo shit, so instead, I watched Moist Critical play through the whole campaign, and when he finally completed the game, I was praising the god I don't believe in that I avoided spending any money on that wet fart of an ending this campaign had. Call of Duty was never exactly a masterclass in stellar writing, but it had its moments. I was disappointed in Modern Warfare 2 because it had like 1, maybe 2 good missions. The characters were the only thing keeping that game alive in my mind, but this game? Oh boy, this game. I was merely disappointed with Modern Warfare 2, but Modern Warfare 3 feels like the chef brought me a plate of lukewarm SpaghettiOs and farted directly in my mouth when I told him I ordered pancakes, only to then slap down the bill and say, that'll be $70. Don't forget to leave a 30% tip or I'll wipe my ass with the bridge of your nose. Oh, but that's only the beginning. The only reason I gave even a remote shit about this game was because of one word. Zombies. Old school Treyarch Zombies hits me in the feels, for real. Nothing was more fun to me than pack-a-punching the M72 Law and somehow firing 10 rockets out of a single tube without reloading. And nothing pissed me off more than getting my gun stolen by the damn Pentagon thief. Grumble, grumble, grumble. Zombies was a unique experience, made initially as a joke by the developers, but later became something beloved by a huge portion of the community. Why was it loved so much? Well, I'm glad you asked. I know exactly why. Number 1. the escalation in difficulty. After every round, zombies get stronger and more of them spawn. At some point, you'll have to leave your current room and explore the rest of the map in order to seek stronger weapons and perks. One zombie was all it took to end your run, so all of them were threatening. Surviving for a long time took good map knowledge and split-second decision making. Number 2. Claustrophobic map design and a focus on sci-fi horror. One thing that doesn't get enough credit about retro zombies is just how little space you had to move around in. Check out the map designs in all the old zombies maps, Der Riese, Kino der Toten 5, Shinonuma for example. Once you see it, you'll never unsee it. Coupled with zombies being threatening enough on their own, it made it so you really had to consider every move you make. Number 3, a story that wasn't spoon-fed to you. What made zombies different from the campaign is that while zombies did have a narrative and story, it wasn't spelled out to you. Making the viewer ask questions with very few clear and direct answers is actually good storytelling convention that we don't see much anymore in big budget video games. It's something that keeps the games engaging and replayable. If you ask me, this is what makes zombies good, and all 3 of these things are nowhere to be found in Modern Warfare 3 Zombies. In fact, when you really get down to it, it's a complete rehash of Cold War zombies, from the enemies down to the animations of using perks. Of course, the reuse of assets isn't the problem here. It just further justifies the idea that this game is a slapdash copy of other ideas with no passion or vision behind it. When they copied Cold War's open world zombies, they inherited all the problems it had and didn't address them at all. The main ones being that because of its open world design, zombies feel more like an inconvenience than a threat. Open worlds tend to lead to a more inconsistent difficulty curve as well. Instead of steady and predictable increases of difficulty, it feels more like it goes from impossible to piss easy with no in between. I watched Mr. Raffle Waffles play zombies live on stream, and my man sounded so freaking bored the whole time. He sounded bored, and when he wasn't bored, he sounded frustrated because a random required item wasn't dropping when it should. And it was at this moment, it hit me. Wait a minute, this is literally just Modern Warfare 2 DMZ, but they put zombies in it. The limited timer, the contracts you pick up on the map, the extraction helicopter, the standard battle royale gas closing in. Wow, they had the fucking gall to claim that this was planned as a full game from the start and not just DLC for Modern Warfare 2. These motherfuckers turned a DLC into a full game with just enough content to dodge the accusation of DLC. Oh fuck, who's running this company, Mr. Burns?
I'll keep it short and sweet. Family, religion, friendship. These are the 3 demons you must slay if you wish to succeed in business. When opportunity knocks, you don't want to be driving to the maternity hospital or sitting in some phony baloney church or synagogue.
Speaking of rich billionaires actively ruining society, let's talk about capitalism. Hey. While yes, I do believe that Modern Warfare 3 is everything wrong with capitalism, all of this criticism can easily apply to the franchise in general, as well as the entire game industry in general. But why exactly is it perfectly representative of everything wrong with capitalism? Before I answer that, I'd like to tell you a story. Don't worry, this story is 100% relevant to my point, so don't click off. Please engage with me. Please engage with me. Don't leave me. I need friends. I need someone to hold me. Sorry about that. Back in the day, one of my first jobs was working at Walmart. When I first started there, I worked in the dairy section. I remember there being one really stupid rule that the department manager and supervisor took very seriously. That rule being that anytime you take dairy products out of the cooler, you have 20 minutes to stock all of the product, no matter how much you have. That doesn't sound that bad, you might be thinking. But when you consider the circumstances, you realize how bad it really is. First off, it takes about a minute to go from the cooler exit to the sales floor. And in order to reach it, you have to go through the back end where the trucks are being offloaded. And since it's Walmart, you can imagine trucks are being offloaded all the time. God forbid you get in anybody's way while you're off to fill the eggs for the 1,000th time that day. In case you don't know, Walmart sells eggs in these bulky 5 dozen packs, and take it from me, that container goes empty really fucking fast. Couple that with the fact that all we had to bring the eggs out on was a shitty L cart that was older than I was. Those shitty L carts had no protection for the eggs whatsoever, so eggs would constantly tip over and break if you ran over a pebble or a piece of a pallet, which were everywhere on the floor. This has happened to me on more than one occasion, and Supervisor, we'll just call him Supervisor Dillweed. Supervisor Dillweed would have a tantrum about it every time. You only got 20 minutes, remember, no matter how full the cart is. This made no sense to me, considering that there's plenty of times where I've shopped for upwards of 30 minutes with milk in my cart and another 10 to 15 minutes checking out and getting home, and the milk was still fine. Milk and eggs take a lot longer than 20 minutes to go bad. But management took this so seriously that every time Mr. Dillweed's supervisor walked past me filling eggs, he's been like, "How long has it been? How long has it been?" It's like, there's no timer. There's no fucking stopwatch. I have no fucking clue. I'm not keeping track of this shit. What the fuck do you want from me? I make minimum wage, bro. Calm the fuck down. Regardless, milk and eggs are constantly going empty because it's Walmart and these are essential items, which means there's hardly ever time to fill anything like cheese, yogurt, and orange juice. Have you ever went to Walmart and noticed that all of these are empty? That's a good sign that your Walmart is grossly understaffed in that department, because that was certainly true in my case. I worked the 3 to 11 shift, typically department manager, let's call him Fuckknuckle. Department manager Fuckknuckle leaves at 4 o'clock, and that left me with one other coworker there. That coworker always left around 6 or so, which means I was by myself for the majority of my shift. Yep, one person to fill the entire dairy section for 5 hours. Invariably, whenever I got there, either the eggs are empty or the milk was empty. One or the other. So I spent the first bit of my shift filling the milk, which came in these crates of 4, which had to be stacked on an empty pallet when you were done, and only a couple of pallets can fit in there at once. But once you filled a pallet, you had to shrink wrap it, and this was a pain in the ass and took a long time, because the Supervisor Dillweed will chew you out if you didn't do it good enough. God forbid you had to move pallets in that super confined ass space, which you had to do all the time because you had to move new pallets of milk forward, or else again, Supervisor Dillweed would come and complain about it. And all that shit, on top of having to unload dairy trucks every other day, which I had to get help from meat and frozen food because again, I was alone, and there's like 14 pallets in that son of a bitch. God forbid Supervisor Dillweed or Assistant Manager Fat Bastard get off their lazy asses and do some actual goddamn work for once. Oh, I'm getting mad. Sorry. I'm getting mad. I can't be the only one who thinks that all these assistant managers don't actually do anything at all, right? Of course, I can't prove this, but I guess that's a rant for another day. Anyway, the point I'm building up to is that I had a lot of nitpicks. Sure, these are all, at the end of the day, fucking nitpicks, but all of them would simply just be minor annoyances if I actually had the proper amount of help. But I didn't. This is what really got me thinking about how badly run all of these mega corporations are. Walmart was far from the only one that was this bad. Every retail company I went to had all the same issues I complained about from the beginning. Stupid rules that benefit nobody, management doesn't seem to do shit, offloading an unreasonable amount of duties on a small number of people, refusing to hire any new people unless they had no other choice. Huh. You know, that sounds a lot like a few game development studios I've read about. Activision Blizzard, EA, Ubisoft, Rockstar, CD Projekt Red. Only in their case, management actually does something. They sexually harass all the women. Fucking classy. You know, this just isn't, how do I put this? This just isn't clicking for me. For me, as a small lass, I was taught about a wonderful thing known as the American dream. America promises us that this is the land of opportunity, and anybody, no matter who you are or where you come from, can make a better life for yourself, simply by working hard and pulling yourself up by your bootstraps. This was a prominent piece of propaganda, mostly propagated by the Reagan administration, to make poor people run on a hamster wheel their entire life and blame themselves when things don't go right. But when inevitably that facade wears off, they push the blame onto a convenient enemy, i.e. communism, the welfare state, immigrants, government spending, gay people, trans people. Who knows what minority they'll blame for all their problems next. The truth, of course, is that none of these are to blame for all the ills of the world. The ills of the economy are just the result of unregulated capitalism. You see, sometime around the 1970s, the poor millionaires and billionaires, as Bernie Sanders would put it, the poor millionaires and billionaires of the world felt like they were paying too many taxes, and it wasn't fair. So, what did they do? They convinced everyone that regulation and taxes were bad because it means we couldn't be more productive in how we destroy the environment and criminally underpay our workforce for the benefit of our shareholders. Okay, oops. No, they can't say that because that would be too honest. No, what they actually said is that we need room to, quote unquote, innovate. Now, if they actually did that, maybe things would be better. Maybe they'd be better. Entirely possible. But as you could tell by just looking around you today, they were talking out of their rotten sphincters. They lied to us, ladies and gentlemen. Their lies made it so they can make record profit year on year while you struggle to afford groceries every week. Made it so you can work a full-time job and still need food stamps just to live, like Walmart employees I knew personally. Look at all these big-ass companies. Did they make anything better because they made more money? Did they invest that back into the company and improve day-to-day work? Or did they just keep everything minimally functional so they can have a better stock price? You already know the answer. Maybe perhaps did they invest in their best employees by raising their pay so they can keep them longer? Yeah, right. How many times have Activision recorded record profits only to then lay off thousands of workers the next week? And if that wasn't enough, fan-made mods for the Call of Duty community like SM2 were shut down by Activision. You know, some actual innovation for the series that was handed to them on a plate. They felt threatened by because it's costing them too many microtransaction sales. I mean, sure, there's the whole copyright issue. I don't mean to ignore that, but that doesn't mean the situation couldn't have been handled better. Instead of taking these, competent modders who are clearly big fans of your property, instead of taking them on board and working to make a better product for everyone, what did they do instead? They crushed it. Why? It's actually quite simple. Because in capitalism, competition is supposed to make products better, but making things better takes time and money. So in practice, companies do anything in order to not compete. Instead, they stomp out all competition so no one can interfere with the growth of their all-important stock price. I mean, really ask yourself, have the video games gotten better because they were funded by big companies? No! No, they haven't. They really haven't. They really haven't. More often than not, they just release 45% of a game with less content than the previous game in the series and then charge full price regardless. Paging the Madden franchise. Paging the Madden franchise. Over. Not to mention pushing $20 gun camos every chance they get to the point of ruining the game's progression to sell them. I mean, why would you waste 10 hours of your life unlocking something that's nowhere near as cool as a flashy $20 camo? It's almost like it was made that way on purpose or something crazy like that. I guess playing Call of Duty nowadays feels like chewing gum with no flavor left in it. You're not even doing it because you enjoy it anymore. You're doing it because you hope some flavor will finally come back. But it never does. And the sad truth is, it never will come back. At least not while Corpo Chooms have their greasy mitts all over it. In conclusion, Modern Warfare 3 is not just bad. It also represents everything bad about this world and how capitalism fundamentally fails when completely unregulated. It also reminds me that it isn't getting any better. If billionaire scumfucks like Jeff Bezos keep getting their way, what little regulation we have will be completely eroded, so soon all of us will be pissing in water bottles on the job, and doing unpaid overtime will just be something you do because you'll be replaced if you don't. Gotta do anything for the gods of capitalism. Must provide value to the shareholders. All I have to do is work hard enough. All I have to do is work hard enough. All I have to do is work hard enough. All I have to do is work hard enough. All I have to do is work hard enough. All I have to do is work hard enough. All I have to do is work hard enough. to do is work hard enough. All I have to do is work hard enough. All I have to do is work hard enough. All I have to do is work hard enough. All I have to do is work hard enough. All I gotta do is work hard enough.
My demons, my family, my friends and lovers, rise from your graves. Rise to your oppressors. Destroy them. Destroy them once and for all.
Carthax, we're not doing that, dude. No, we can't just make people believe this stuff. We have to, like, win over their hearts and minds and that kind of shit.
Back in my day, the only way to win over the hearts and minds of the people is through glorious combat, death, violence, and blood.
Boomer rant. Boomer, shut the fuck up. I know what I'm talking about, ass munch.
Oh, fine. Whatever you say.
I'm Karina McDaniels, and I support unions because fuck these greedy bastards crashing our economy and getting away with it. Fuck them and their corporate socialism double standard. Tax these sons of bitches properly like we did in the FDR days. Bring us back to when the American dream was actually achievable. They are nothing without us. I think it's about time we remind them of that.